What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back on another Tuesday night for your NFL Power Rankings. Week number 12, pre-week number 12, post-week 11. These are my rankings for every NFL team, from the worst, number 32, to the best, the number 1 team in the NFL. Yes, it's week 12, and we're still discussing every team in the league, because I have respect for all of the fan bases, so we must discuss every team, at least briefly. Alright, so if that sounds good, don't forget to spike that like button, support that algorithm, help the BLV rank a bit higher on the YouTube. Also, spike that notification bell for the latest upload. We are live, so make sure to let me know how you feel about your favorite team in the live comment section, and I might actually read your comment. If you're watching this after the fact, let me know in the comment section below how you feel about your favorite team right now and how you would rank the NFL. If you want to let me know your top 10 teams, your number 32 to your number 1, where your favorite team would rank, who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, whatever you want to do, just leave it in the comment section below, guys. In terms of the content coming up, we've got the regular scheduled programming, but I'm also adding on top this week an extra best bets video for Thanksgiving football, which will likely be out tomorrow. So before the picks video comes out, which I might actually have a guest for the picks again this week, there will be a best bets video. All right. But enough of that. Hello to Big Al. Hello to Harley Quinn. And shout out to Big Al, who says, good evening. Make sure to spike the like button and the notification bell. He said, subscribe to the channel, become a member, and follow Mitch on all his socials. If you do want to follow me on social media, links are in the description, guys, including TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Okay, let's get to it. But before we do, I just got to say, Asma said I've come around on the Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in football. So shout out to him for saying that and admitting that. I appreciate it. Okay, let's begin with the worst team in the NFL. The worst team in the NFL is the Houston Texans. No surprise whatsoever. The Texans still rank as the worst team in the NFL. And this past week, I felt like was one of their worst performances of the year. They got shellacked. They got dominated against an average football team in the Washington Commanders. Typically, Houston keeps these games close. This game wasn't very close. It wasn't. I think the final score was closer than the actual game itself. So Houston just continues to play bad football. Brandon Cooks, little spark from him during the game. They do seem to have something in Dameon Pierce. Definitely were missing some players in the secondary that hurt them. But their defensive line's bad. They can't stop the run. They don't get consistent enough pressure. Wonder what's going to happen with the coaching staff. Davis Mills just doesn't feel like he is it. They've got a lot to fix there in Houston. They are certainly the worst team in the NFL. At number 31. Yes, number 31. The Los Angeles Rams. Yes, I know. It's the Super Bowl champs. They suck. There's a reason they are 15-point underdogs against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is considering injuries to the quarterback position, considering Matthew Stafford being out, potentially, or not knowing whether he's going to play or not. Certainly. Cooper Kupp being injured. They cut Henderson today out of nowhere, who I thought all year was their best running back. Offensive line is a disaster. It's one of the worst in football. Can't run block, can't pass protect. Sean McVay has had zero solutions for this football team this year and has lost his elite touch. The defense holds them in games, but they didn't even play that well against the Saints, made Andy Dalton look like Tom Brady. So this team is just a disaster. They are very bad in all facets of the game. Everybody has regressed, and it's real sad in Los Angeles right now because they don't even have their pick. At number 30, the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers rank above the Rams because they were more competitive last week. They only lost by 10 points to the Ravens. They covered the spread. It was 13-3. They only allowed 13 points to Lamar Jackson. So that's pretty impressive. Their defense continues to fight. It does feel like they can run the ball on most teams. Baker Mayfield, downright disgusting to watch. Sam Darnold will now be the starter. I think that's an upgrade, personally. I do. Foreman, Moore, I like. Defensively, they compete every week. They've got some nice players in the front seven, including Shaq Thompson, Brian Burns, and Derek Brown. And I think they're coaching them well. They're not giving up. So credit the new coaching staff there, post Matt Rule, for not turning it around, but still remaining competitive. At number 29, the Denver Broncos. Terrible football team. They're good on defense most of the time, except when they play the Raiders, pretty much. Offensively, they are perhaps the worst offense in the NFL. Poorly managed, poorly schemed, can't run the ball, cut Melvin Gordon. Russell Wilson is super overrated, yet nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to say it out loud on television. Everybody on the BLV, in the BLV chat, will talk about it. But not the television, not people on TV. So that needs to change. Hackett is a disaster. We talked about that on the NFL review show. Guy has no semblance, no understanding of game management whatsoever. He's a dumbass. So that team, they suck. They're unwatchable too. They're not even interesting. At number 28, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders, they won against the Broncos. They've swept the Broncos. So there's no way you can tell me the Broncos are better than the Raiders. And the big difference between the Raiders and the Broncos, I think this is the major difference. I think the Broncos are more talented. I think the major difference is Raiders players are still buying into Josh McDaniels as much as every media member wants to get him fired. The Raiders are still buying into the message of their coach. The Broncos don't like their coach. They suck, and they don't want to listen anymore. They're done. Russell Wilson's a fraud, and at least Derek Carr still leads. At least Derek Carr still fights. Even if that means the odd time after a loss, he's going to cry at the podium. He still fights. And I love to see that victory for the Raiders against the Broncos in Denver. Very nice win for them, even though they're not going anywhere this year. But there is a chance that this team could kind of put together a couple more wins at the end of the season and maybe have like bright spirits entering the offseason, because they are basically the opposite of the Vikings. This is a team that's lost like 6 one-score games. I think the Vikings have won like 6 or 7 one-score games and have lost like 0. So the Raiders are basically the inverse Vikings right now at number 28. You could say they're higher, but I don't know. Who knows? At number 27, the Saints. I got the Saints over the Raiders because they destroyed them a couple weeks back. The Saints are one of the toughest teams to figure out in the NFL. They haven't really been healthy on either side of the ball lately. Clearly, we knew that they were going to suffer without Sean Payton, and they have this year. I think if this was a Sean Payton-led team, they would at least be in the conversation for this division, even with the quarterback position the way it is. Defensively, they're inconsistent. They're just not the same unit under Dennis Allen. Coverage inconsistent. Front inconsistent. Pass rush not good. Like bad pass rush. Like they have completely fallen off the cliff there. And run defense can still be pretty capable. When Andy Dalton is clicking, he actually is pretty effective and efficient. But a lot of times this year we've seen the two sides, the two-face Andy Dalton, where sometimes he'll throw picks, sometimes he'll throw turnovers and ruin games. Other times he'll be very efficient. Alvin Kamara hasn't been the same player this year. Chris Olave is their only real threat at receiver. They're just not a very talented team. I do think they could use a better quarterback, but I don't think quarterback is their only issue by a long shot. I think they got a lot more issues than just quarterback. At number 26, the Chicago Bears. The Bears are that team that everyone's fallen in love with because they score points now and they're fun to watch, but they still suck. Like, they don't win any games. Justin Fields has a ton of rushing yards in every game. I don't know how sustainable that is, as he just got hurt. And he's been dealing with injuries throughout this whole breakout period where he's just become a running back, basically. So, like, it's shown his upside, and that upside could be like the next Cam Newton. But honestly, I don't know if he's going to be able to do this for that long because he's going to be in a car crash every week. So if Justin Fields can remain healthy the rest of the year, I think the Bears should focus on just making him a better pocket player. You know, maybe tone down the running because you're not winning anyways. You're not going anywhere anyways. Tone down the running and focus on where you can improve this player. That's what I would try to do. Defensively, they've regressed a ton. Without Roquan Smith, they're just simply a different defense. Even Robert Quinn, different defense. Secondary, still got some promising pieces, but the collective whole of the defense isn't the same. And their run defense is one of the worst in football. Absolutely. And they can't control the game because of that. Fields still struggling as a passer, but like I said, hone in on that. Try to make him better there. Hopefully he can be healthy for you. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you Gronk spike that like button. At number 25, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are at 25 because of the respect for Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's a Hall of Fame coach. They seem to get a little bit better on offense after the bye week against the Bengals. I thought Kenny Pickett looked a lot more mature as a quarterback in the NFL. I felt like he played a lot better. I thought he made better decisions. I thought he was kind of, more accurate and got rid of the ball faster. I think he did a good job of showing off what he can bring to an NFL team. And then we see what their receiving core continues to do. George Pickens continues to make these crazy contested catches week after week. Run game was a lot better this past week with Najee Harris. That definitely helped out the offense. Defensively with TJ Watt, that guy is just a different type of player. That guy's a specimen. He makes all the difference for their defense, but that defense was not good against the Bengals. Specifically in the secondary, they're not very good. So this team is just, they're going to compete. They're going to play hard. They might give a team a tough game every once in a while, but they're not a very talented team. At number 25. At number 24, the Jacksonville Jags. Jacksonville's at 24. Again, a talented team that doesn't really know how to win. Trevor Lawrence is better than Kenny Pickett, so I'll give them that. But Trevor Lawrence is super inconsistent. We see him make high ability plays. We see him make mistakes, right? We see him ability to move and scramble and avoid sacks. We see him take too many sacks. We see him hold on the ball too long. Offensive line's still really, really bad in pass protection and in moments. Run game is good. They're coming off the bye. Travis Etienne is electric. I like that. They've got some pieces there. But defensively, they've been far too inconsistent. I thought early in the year they looked good. Later in the year, they haven't looked so good. But like I said, very young team with some building blocks, new coach. I think this is a weird team because I think they have a positive point differential, but they have like 3 wins. So that doesn't really make any sense. But they're at number 24. At number 23, I got the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, Colt McCoy. We'll see who the quarterback is moving forward. I think this team's actually pretty competent when they have Kyler, Marquise, and D-Hop in the lineup. D-Hop, I'm telling you guys, he's still elite. Just finds ways to get open, finds ways to make grabs. James Conner sucks, period. Offensive line, not very good in either department. They fired their offensive line coach. Makes sense there. Cliff Kingsbury could be next. He could be. But the interesting thing to me is that the offense looks a lot better with Colt McCoy at the helm than it does with Kyler Murray in terms of just the execution of the scheme. I'm not talking about how many points they score. I'm talking about the smoothness and the efficiency. They lose the big plays. They lose the second chance plays, the second reaction plays with Kyler Murray when he's not there, and that's where they gain all this explosion. But with Colt McCoy in there, they're a little bit more precise, if that makes sense. Defensively, I think they really play hard, but they don't have a lot of talent. I think they're taught well, but they can be kind of exposed versus certain teams and certain matchups. I think they've got some good speed, especially at the second level there. And they've got a couple playmakers. J.J. Watt can still play. Budda Baker's a player. But they just don't have enough good players on this defense, even with a good defensive coordinator in Vance Joseph. At number 23. At number 22, I got the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are at number 22. The run game's still really good. You know, they didn't have a good game last week against the Bills. When they get the run game going, they can move the ball. They can score points. Again, Jacoby Brissett has not been the problem for this football team. He has not. So don't even bring it up. Deshaun Watson is not going to solve all the issues for Joe Woods on defense. Deshaun Watson does not play defense. Deshaun Watson does not coach defense. So until they solve those things, they're going to be in trouble on defense. They can't stop the run, and therefore they give up too many big plays through play action, too many plays over the top in their passing game. They've got some good players individually. They don't fit as a cohesive whole defensively. This is a team that I'm willing to take points with as an underdog. I don't trust as a favorite. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about them when Deshaun Watson is in the lineup. At number 21, the Atlanta Falcons. Cordero Patterson, back, monster, best kick returner of all time, probably. Yeah, I said it. Run game, still really good. Marcus Mariota had a good game against Chicago. He made some plays. Kyle Pitts, out for the year, I believe. Out for a while. That's a big loss, I think. You know, he hasn't exactly been amazing, but big loss in Kyle Pitts. When they have to get in that passing game, he's going to be missed. Drake London, though, could take a step forward. They could lean on him a little bit more. And Arthur Smith hasn't been afraid to distribute the ball throughout the offense in terms of targets. Defensively, one of the least talented units in the league, but they are well coached. And they've got a couple good players. Maybe they can get healthier in the secondary. That would help. I don't see this team making the playoffs. I don't see this team winning their division. But I do think they're going to continue to compete, play hard, and make things interesting. I do like them as an underdog because they tend to keep games close because of their running game and because of their coaching. At number 20, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, yeah, kind of a disaster, but I've got to be able to talk about, okay, what were their expectations and what are they truly now? And loss against the Titans was predictable. I understand it was at Lambeau, it was at home, all that stuff, but that wasn't a good matchup for them. That's a Titans team that can stop the run. That's a Titans team that can run the ball. Those are two areas that if you can do that against Green Bay, just like Washington, for example, you can beat the Packers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust much on this offense schematically and talent-wise. I think it does help to have Randall Cobb in there. Christian Watson's getting better and breaking out, so that's huge. Alan Lazard is super inconsistent. I don't understand why he sees so many targets. Aaron Jones is a monster. But the defense, inconsistent, not good against the run. Coverage unit is not living up to expectations. Secondary's underwhelming. Joe Barry is a bum, making the Titans offense look like the 2007 Patriots. A lot of problems with the Packers, but they still got Aaron Rodgers. They still got talented players. They can still move the ball. If you can't stop the run, they're going to run it on you, and they can work everything off of that. They have these things throughout games, these parts throughout games where they look really good, and they kind of pull you back in, but that's not truly what they are. So at number 20, the Packers. At number 19, the Detroit Lions. The Lions beat the Packers. The Lions are on a 3-game winning streak. The Lions beat the Giants. I got to give them credit for what they've been able to do in recent weeks. They've been thriving, taking the football away from teams on defense. Aiden Hutchinson's been playing like a monster. McNeil's been playing like a monster. They still don't have enough speed on defense, but their D-line is playing a lot better against the run. Their secondary is playing better. I think they're going to miss Jeff Okudah on the Thanksgiving game against the Bills. I do think they're going to lose to the Bills, but I want to see how competitive they are. I like how their offense is designed for Jared Goff. Run first, use Jared Goff under center, play action. Jameson Williams coming back soon should definitely help. I like the offense. I think this is a team that's getting better. They had a pretty interesting beginning of the year where they were scoring a lot of points, couldn't defend anybody. Then they went through a losing stretch. Now they're kind of on the incline. They're getting better. So let's see if they can continue to do that and be competitive in these games. At number 18, the Indianapolis Colts. Despite their record, I think the Colts are competitive. They've got more talent than a team like the Lions. I think their defense is extremely underrated. People continue to overlook them week after week, but they are really good up front. They're really feisty against the run. They don't allow teams to run on them consistently. And they've got good players in the secondary like Stephon Gilmore, like Kenny Moore. And even without Darius Leonard, this is a top 10 defense in the NFL, maybe even closer to a top 5 defense. You have to wonder what they would be like if they had an offense, and that's the problem. The Colts offense isn't very good. If anything, at its best, it's inconsistent. Inconsistent running the football, inconsistent passing the football, inconsistent turning the ball over, inconsistent with sacks, inconsistent in terms of everything they do on offense, right? And that was shown in that Eagles game. Matt Ryan certainly makes them a better offense, certainly makes them a better team, but they still got a ton of flaws up front on the offensive line, and Matt Ryan is just simply not a very good quarterback at this stage in his career. It takes too many sacks, sometimes doesn't make the right decision, sometimes just his arm can't get the ball where it needs to go. So, still issues with the Colts, but they're competitive and they're a tough team to play. At number 17, the New York Giants. Again, guys, I don't want to rank the Giants this low. I understand they're 7-3. They're not a very good football team. I continue to tell you guys this. They're just not that good. Daniel Jones is actually better than people think and people give him credit for. He's not working with anything. They don't have good pass protection. And when the run game isn't there, he has nothing to work off of. Their receivers are terrible. They have the worst receiving core in the NFL, even with Wan'Dale Robinson. Now he's gone. Tight ends hurt. Sterling Shepard hurt. Trade Kadarius Toney. No receivers to speak of. Defensively, they're well schemed, but they do have holes, specifically in run defense, where they're one of the worst teams against the run in a yards per carry standpoint. But their pass defense, they can scare you. They can turn the ball over because they can blitz you. They're aggressive, and they do play good in coverage occasionally. This is a team that I think could be on the downward spiral and could eventually maybe even miss the playoffs. I want to believe in Daboll and Wink Martindale to be able to make them a playoff team and squeak into those offs, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it. This is a much more challenging team to figure out than I thought they were a couple weeks ago. I felt like they had a true identity. They had a true go-to game plan, and right now it just feels like every team that they are playing knows how to beat them, and that is trouble for me. The Seahawks kind of exposed them, and the Lions took that same game plan and replicated it. At number 16, the New York Jets. The New York Jets are at 16. I think they have one of the 3 best defenses in the NFL. Phenomenal front 4. Great pass rush, really good run D, fast defense, good secondary, super underrated secondary with really good corners. And this is a defense that is really good. They don't have any holes, really, truly. They've got a solid scheme that they just perform and they execute really well. And that defense can keep them in every game they play this year. The offense, if they're not running the ball, they can't do anything. Now, they are not going to look as bad as they looked against New England. New England just uniquely knows how to beat the Jets in terms of their offense. Zach Wilson, if he continues to play, is not going to look as bad as he did against the Patriots. He hasn't all year. It's just a thing of Belichick and the Patriots defense knows how to beat the Jets. It's just a thing, okay? It's a matchup thing. They know how to do it. But there's definitely a quarterback problem for this team. I think this team would be better with Joe Flacco. I think this team would be better with Mike White. But that being said, they need Corey Davis back healthy. They need to be able to run the ball. If not, they're not going to be able to move the ball and score points, enough points to make the playoffs, or enough points to make it interesting. Okay? So at 16, I think they're right in the middle of the NFL, the Jets. At 15, the Washington Commanders. I just like how the Commanders are playing, man. I like how they're playing. I think they're moving the ball steadily, and running the ball, having some balance, using play action, occasionally getting an explosive play out of Tyler Heineken. The quarterback, as I've stated, that you don't want to play when you're a big favorite in a game because he scares you with all the crazy plays he can make because he just doesn't care. Terry McLaurin is elite. They've got plenty of weapons like Curtis Samuel. They've got a lot of speed. They've got two backs that can make things happen. Defensively, defensive line is back to being its elite form from 2020. Chase Young's coming back, but Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne are kicking ass. Sweat's playing good. Secondary is playing sound. Fuller is a standout player for me. I think Washington is just playing really, really good football. I think Ron Rivera has gotten this team playing the way they need to play. I wouldn't be shocked if they made the playoffs. I wouldn't, the way they're playing. At number 14, the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers have Justin Herbert. Chargers can score points, especially if they have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler. If they have those pieces, they can score 30 on most teams. Most teams. Not all. There will be defenses that can uniquely match up with them. But most teams, they'll be able to win a shootout. Their defense, extremely flawed. Right? We talk about all the great players they have. They don't stop anybody. Everybody this week has been talking about, oh, wow, what a game plan they had against the Chiefs. What an impressive game by Mahomes to beat the Chargers defense. I don't know if any of these people have been watching the Chargers defense. They can't stop me from running the ball. They couldn't stop the Chiefs. They can't stop anything. So I don't really know what anybody is watching. The Chargers defense is a disaster. Their coach is a disaster. Their offensive coordinator is a disaster. They all got to go. Okay? There's no reason that Justin Herbert should not be making the playoffs. There's no reason. Justin Herbert reminds me a lot of Dan Marino, around 84, 85. Super talented guy, 86, 87, around that range. They were making the playoffs for some reason, right? For some reason. Everybody knew the guy was talented, wasn't making the playoffs. So at 14, you got Herbert. At number 13, the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks whooped the Chargers' butt, so I don't want to hear why they're higher than the Chargers, okay? The Seahawks, there's definitely a formula for their success. They need to be able to run the ball, and from there, they can really stress you out with the speed of their receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and the accuracy of Geno Smith. And Geno can buy a little time. Geno can scramble every once in a while. Kenneth Walker can be explosive. He can wear your defense down. And if they can possess the ball and mix in an explosive play, they can be a really good offense. Defensively, they're not very good. That's where I worry about them. But they are fast, they're feisty, and they're hungry. I like how they play. In terms of they confuse quarterbacks with a lot of different looks in terms of pre-snap, and then they can blitz you, and they're really good against the run in certain matchups, but then they're inconsistent in others. So Seattle's defense, if they can find a way to be consistent, I feel like this team can make their way to the playoffs. I still think I have them in the playoffs right now, but I'm not 100% locked in the way I was before the BUCS game. I think we'll see how they react and how they come off this bye week with a renewed sense of self, because I think they got a little bit of a shock, a little bit of a jolt to the system the way they were dominated by the BUCS. Okay, so at number 13, Seattle. At number 12, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I could put them higher, but I want to see more from the BUCS. I think like the idea of the BUCS in my mind and most people's minds is better than number 12 of what they could be after the bye, of what they were against the Seahawks, right? But they haven't proven that enough yet. I want to see how they look against Cleveland. I think the BUCS' ability to run the ball could be crucial to their success down the stretch. If they figure out a way to continue to be competent in the running game, they can continue to be effective on offense and control games through Tom Brady. Chris Godwin, that bye will really help him. Mike Evans, that bye will really help him. This is generally an older roster. Akeem Hicks. These guys will be helped out by that bye week. And I think they're going to be hungry coming out of the bye week. Everybody's talking about the Cowboys. Everybody's talking about the Eagles. Everybody's talking about the Niners. Nobody's talking about the BUCS in the NFC. I think they're going to be hungry moving forward. The defense is an elite unit when Akeem Hicks plays. They should get Logan Ryan back later in the year as well. This could be a really good defense in the playoffs if they can make it there. And I think they will. At number 11, the Minnesota Vikings. I moved the Vikings all the way down to number 11. I think that they just proved to everybody why everyone was kind of saying they were they were not contenders, they were pretenders. I think that's why I'm moving them down so far. Is because the Vikings, they have a negative point differential despite being 8-2. That's the first team in NFL history that has been 8-2 and has a negative point differential. Okay? So that speaks to how kind of lucky they've been all year to win one score game after one score game. I think if you can pressure Kirk Cousins and double Justin Jefferson, you can really stop the passing game of the Vikings. And the running game is a bit hit and miss. It's rather explosive play or no play. The defense, it's not very good at all. The one quality it has is a pass rush. Other than that, if that pass rush does not get home, they're susceptible to big plays in the passing game and the run. So the Vikings, to me, I still think they're a little bit of frauds right now. I do. At number 11. At number 10, I got the Patriots. Non-Pats fans are going to call me a hater. They're going to call me a biased homer, all that sort of stuff. But I've been telling you guys all year. Okay, so it's just going to continue. I know you wanted me to rank the Jets above them in weeks past. Not going to happen. Patriots, they're at number 10. They've got the best defense in football, in my opinion, especially when it comes to pass defense. They've got a super, still under the radar for whatever reason, pass rush. Their pass rush is a monster. Matthew Judon is a monster, leading the NFL in sacks. Dietrich Wise playing his ass off. Josh Uche playing his ass off. This front in general is dominant, okay? And they're getting better against the run as well. The only question I have about the defense is, can they slow down a mobile Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields type of quarterback? But there's not many of those guys in the NFL that are that fast and can run the ball the way they can, right? So other than that, I mean, they can play man, they can play zone, they can disguise, they're very sound, and they've got a deep secondary. Offensively, the offensive line is a huge, huge problem right now, and I think all of their issues offensively have to do with Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia is the offensive coordinator, the offensive play caller, and the offensive line coach. All of those things are due to Matt Patricia. The offensive line has had some injuries. David Andrews actually escaped a major injury. He was back at practice today somehow, some way. He's a tough you-know-what. But if they can have him in there, he's definitely a stabilizing force. But I think their run game is effective, and if they get that going against any team, it kind of takes the pressure off of their pass protection. I thought Mac Jones actually played a very good game against the Jets, right? Best completion percentage of his career, 23 for 27 in a game, and had the second most yards against the Jets defense of any quarterback this season, more than Josh Allen, more than Lamar Jackson, more than Aaron Rodgers. So I think the offense around the offensive line is playing good, but I think the offensive line is the problem. They need to figure that out. And I think they'll have a better week against the Vikings. If they don't play the Jets every week, their Jets defense every week, the Colts defense every week, I think they'll look better on offense. At number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are at 9 because I don't love their defense. It's almost the opposite of the Patriots. I like their offense a lot, and especially what they're doing without Jamar Chase is impressive. Like putting up 37 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers, even this Pittsburgh Steelers team, is impressive. But the defense is scaring me. The defense is scaring me. Like, they didn't play very well against the Steelers. The pass rush, the front four, I just don't think is playing as good as it did last year. And the secondary without their best corner for the season, Chidobe Awuzie, definitely can be had. So I look at Cincinnati as a team, like they're right now to me, they're all explosive offense, all Joe Burrow centric. Defense is worrying me. So they're the opposite of the Patriots for me. At number 8, the Tennessee Titans. I almost put the Titans at 7. The Titans are tough, gritty, physical. They know how to win. The coach, Mike Vrabel, is an elite coach, an elite game manager. If they play the way they want to play and the way they game planned it, they're likely to win. Their defense is elite, in my opinion. I think it's a top 10 unit without a doubt. They are one of the best units at stopping the run. They're a good unit at simulating pressure. And Jeffrey Simmons is an elite player. Christian Fulton's a great player. Byard is a great player. David Long is a great player. They've got a very good defense. Offensively, I thought they looked really good against the Packers. The ability to run the ball, the ability to possess the ball, the ability to manage the game. Treylon Burks really played well. I thought their whole receiving core played well. And Derrick Henry, right? So this team's getting better on offense, and we know their defense is good. So at number 8, I got the Titans. At number 7, I got the Ravens. The difference for me between the Ravens and the Titans is Lamar Jackson, basically. But I think they're very close. I think the Ravens defense is playing a lot like the Titans defense. A lot of big dudes up front stopping the run. I think the Ravens got more ammunition to rush the passer. Roquan Smith has made a ton of difference in the middle, and their secondary can cover now. They're really sound in the back end. Kyle Hamilton's playing really well. Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey are playing really, really well. And this defense has really flipped the script. They're playing like a Ravens defense. The offense is not playing very well. The offense in the passing game specifically, big weakness. But that's a lot like the Titans. They're a run games type of team, and if they play to a certain script, they can beat basically anybody in the league. And Lamar, if he's on, he can make a couple plays that are the difference. At number 6, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins had their bye week. I think they've got a shaky defense somewhat, but it's interesting because I think they can get better. They have talent on defense, but they just haven't played to the talent level. They're a bit inconsistent in run defense. They're certainly bend end break style of defense. Like they rather get huge stops and turnovers or they give up explosive plays. And that's my problem with them right now. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts though, because their offense is really, really good. And we'll see how this offense evolves through maybe more difficult weather down the stretch. Of course, they got to play Buffalo. They've got to play New England in the East Coast weather. So that's going to be interesting. But their offense is really good. They can run the ball better than they did earlier in the year with Raheem and Jeff Wilson. I think having another back to go with Mostert is a big deal because he's more of an explosive change of pace guy. And they've got a ton of weapons. It's tough to cover them. The one thing about their offense that I'm worried about is if this defense doesn't come to play, they are probably going to lose more games than expected because that weather thing could really hurt them on offense. So the defense is going to have to pick up the slack to end the year. And if they can do that, they can remain an elite team in the NFL. At number 5, the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, to me, it was close between Dallas and Miami. The difference is Dallas's defense is just really, really good. And I don't think Dallas's offense is elite or anything, but I think it's good. Like, I think it's pretty well above average. They can run the ball versus most teams with 2 backs, one being the Rocky Balboa body puncher Ezekiel Elliott, to the ribs. And then you've got Tony Pollard with the big haymaker, for the big plays, okay? And then you've got CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Dalton Schultz, Noah Brown. Enough of a complement of weapons in the passing game that Dak can spread it around. And we know that Dak, when he's on, he gets into these streaks where he's very efficient and effective and accurate, and he can put up a ton of points in a hurry. So Odell would be a huge add. Odell would be a huge addition, I think. We'll see if that happens. I still have concerns about a certain type of style of offense that could give the Dallas Cowboys defense some issues, but I think they showed you how good they can be against the Vikings. At number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, Big Al, I've got the Eagles all the way down at 4 after having them at 1. I understand they won the game against the Colts. I understand they came from behind and they won the game, bro. But they have not looked good over the last 3 to 4 weeks. And part of these power rankings is how are you playing at the moment? It's not always about what's your record, right? That you guys know that. It's about how are you playing, okay? Eagles are not playing well. Offensively, they're not the same team right now. They're sputtering. They're turning the ball over more. And I think we see kind of the formula for how to slow them down. Stack the box, make life difficult on their run game. And once you can slow that down, blitz, blitz, blitz. If you have athletes, if you have speed on defense, you can slow down the Eagles' offense. Defensively, they still got some holes in the running game. Sue and Joseph will help. And then the pass rush, I don't think has been as good as people make it out to be. I think there's too much pressure on those old defensive backs to make things happen. So I'm a little bit worried about the Eagles right now, just in comparison to the Niners, and obviously some teams in the AFC. But I'd even look at the Eagles and say, like, if they played the BUCS in the playoffs, would I instantly pick the Eagles? I don't really know about that. Like, I think that would be a tough game. So the Eagles, I got it for respect for what they've done, but I don't like how they're playing right now. That's just the truth. Okay. Next, at number 3, the San Francisco 49ers. Honestly, if I had bigger balls, I would put them at number 1. Because if I were to pick who's going to win the Super Bowl right now, I'd pick the Niners. I'm just going to be honest. But I'm going to wait. I'm not willing to do that, okay? Because the record is something, but it's more of like I need to see them piece together a run of dominant performances. Because there isn't a team in the NFL, guys. There isn't a team in the NFL that can potentially dominate offense and defense the way that the Niners can. I don't think there is a team like that. Not the Chiefs. Right now, not the Bills. Right now, not the Eagles. The Niners have the potential to win the Super Bowl. And we saw that on Monday night. 38-10 victory. They thoroughly dominated the Cardinals in the run game, pass rush, and they didn't even have Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw. Run defense is top notch. And they've got a great coach and a great defensive coordinator who can adjust. So the Niners are that team that I've been saying all year. I literally made a video about it. They're probably the team that if they piece it all together, I think is going to win the Super Bowl. But we'll see. At number 2, the Buffalo Bills. I almost put them at number 1, but there's something about them from a vibes perspective when I watch them that not everything is 100% right, if you know what I mean. Like, you watch them and it's a little off with their offense. It's a little off with Josh Allen. It's similar to the Eagles. But the offense is a little off. The defense has been a bit inconsistent as of late. They've had some injuries that have hurt them. They continue to be unable to defend wide receiver ones. And the run defense is a bit sketchy at times, but they were good last week. I still think the Bills can win the Super Bowl. I still think I would put the Bills in the Super Bowl in the AFC if I were to pick it today. But I don't think they're playing the best right now. Okay? At number 1, I think the team that's playing most consistently the best, pulling out wins, I think is the Chiefs. That's not to say that they're the best team. I don't think they necessarily are. But I think right now, they're on a streak. They're on a run. They survived a close game against the Titans. They came back against the Chargers. But Mahomes is playing unbelievable. Their offense is really awesome, no matter who they have in or out of the lineup. The offensive line's great. They've got something in Pacheco. Andy Reid is a mastermind. And defensively, that defensive line is playing really well. The secondary, not quite as well. But the defensive line has the capacity to go for 4 or 5 sacks. So the Chiefs, like, personally, I wouldn't pick them to win the Super Bowl. I wouldn't pick them to get there. So I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth because I got them number 1. But it's more of like a here and now thing than it is a long-term thing. I don't think they're as good on both sides of the ball as a Buffalo or as a Niners or even as a Dallas. But I think their offense is so good and their coach is so good and Kelsey's so good at times that they can overcome those things. And I think right now they're the best team. And I think that's fair. But you guys let me know what you think about that. That's my take on every team in the NFL. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV just like this. Tessa wants me to rank the Seahawks at number 1 for some absurd reason, but I have no idea why, because they don't deserve to be number 1. Shout out to Harley Quinn who's been commenting. That's awesome. Big Al, thank you for letting me know your rankings throughout the video. I've been watching those. Thank you, Sing, for tuning in. Chris, thanks for tuning in, bro. I gave your Seahawks love. I put them at number 13. Zay, thanks for tuning in. Lions Mania, appreciate it, man. Russell, thank you so much. Taco Bell, shout out. Jackson, shout out. Anthony, shout out. Rory, shout out to you. Fins Up, shout out to you for being a Dolphins fan watching this channel. That's huge props. Asma, shout out to you for admitting the truth. And Ashton, shout out to you and anybody else that I missed. I appreciate it, guys. Hunter, thanks for watching, man. Are the Rams the worst defending Super Bowl champs of all time? I don't know about all time, but they're recent history, yes. All right, guys, thanks for watching. A lot more stuff coming. Thanksgiving best bets tomorrow. Make sure to check that out. And I'm also cooking up something special as well I'm working on right now, and I'm going to get to that as I sign off. So thanks, guys, for watching. It's Mitch. Peace.